Hello students. In the last session we have discussed what is phase and what are the phase diagrams and what are the applications of phase diagrams we have discussed. So in this session we are going to discuss what is a solid solution and chemical compound and mechanical mixtures. If you see what we have discussed in the previous session, see these are the things we have discussed. What is a phase and what is a phase diagram and information given by a phase diagram. These things we have discussed in the previous session. See phase definition and phase diagram definition and how it will be drawn and what are the information we will get by a phase diagram. These things we have discussed in the previous session. And if you go elaborately, whatever the things we have discussed in the previous session, we will have a look over it. See here, if you go for the quick look about the things we have discussed in the previous session. See, what is a phase? So phase is nothing but, if you see the definition, phase is nothing but a material having characteristic structure and properties. Okay, so phase is a form of material is having characteristic structure and properties. So these things we have discussed in the previous session. And what is meant by a phase diagram or a equilibrium diagram? So this equilibrium diagram gives the relationship between your composition, temperature and structure. Okay, so these parameters, composition, temperature and structures will have what is the relation it is having, that will be shown by a equilibrium diagram or a phase diagram. And what you are going to get from a equilibrium diagram or a phase diagram, so what you are going to get, you are going to get the complete description of the alloying constituents. So in an alloy you are having different constituents, right? So you are going to get the complete description of those constituents in an alloy. So these are the things we have discussed in the previous session. What are the things we have discussed? What is a phase and what is a phase diagram and what are the things we will learn from a phase diagram? Those things we have discussed in the previous session. So today what we are going to discuss, see here, we are going to discuss these topics in today's session. See what we are going to learn. These are the things we are going to learn. First one is difference between pure metal and alloy. So if you see here, difference between pure metal and alloy. Already we have defined what is a pure metal and what is an alloy. Already we have defined, and once again we will see the definition of a pure metal and alloy, and we are going to discuss the difference between a pure metal and alloy. Okay, and next we will go for the cooling curves, very important one, cooling curves. Okay, so we will discuss the cooling curve for a pure metal with two categories, that means with the two parameters, that means two categories. In two categories we will discuss this one, that is by slow cooling, by super cooling. Okay, so we will discuss the cooling curves of pure metals by slow cooling and super cooling, and next we will discuss what is a solid solution and equilibrium diagram for a solid solution, and how many types of solid solutions are there, and what is meant by a chemical compound and what is meant by a mechanical mixture. So these things we are going to discuss. So first we are going to discuss pure metal and alloy and the cooling curves for pure metal, slow cooling and super cooling, and what is a solid solution and equilibrium diagram for a solid solution and what is meant by chemical compound and mechanical mixture. Okay, one by one we will see. So what is a pure metal and alloy? So first we will start with pure metal and alloy. See here. See this definition already we have discussed in the previous session. Once again we will see. So what is meant by pure metal? What you understand by a pure metal? See, if you see here, pure metal is nothing but only the atoms of one metal. That means all the atoms belongs to only one metal only. So if you take a pure metal, in that one you are having only one type of metal atoms only. That means whatever the atoms you take, it belongs to only one metal. So that is a pure metal. So and they are contained in a space lattice. And if it comes to alloy, so what is the difference? You are saying that in pure metal you are having only the atoms of only one metal, whereas in alloy you are consisting of two or more elements, and in which in which one of them is a metal. So what you are going to understand here? So here you are having two or more elements. If you see here, you are having two or more elements, but in that one, in the two or more elements, one element should be a metal. One element should be a metal. Then only we can say it as alloy. Whereas in pure metal, you are having the atoms, all the atoms belongs to only one metal, and that should be metal, and all the atoms should belong to that metal. Whereas in alloy, it may have two or more elements, but in that elements, one element should be a metal. Okay, so this is the difference. So here, this one all belongs to one metal. Here you are having two or more metals, but two or more elements, but in that elements, one element should be a metal. Okay, so this is the difference between pure metal and alloy. So in the examination, they will ask, define pure metal and alloy, and what is the difference between pure metal and alloy. So are able to answer this one. So how a pure metal will be? How a pure metal will be? So all the atoms in a pure metal belongs to one metal only, whereas in alloy, so you are having two or more elements, but what in that two or more elements, one element should be a metal. Then only we can say it as an alloy. And if you go further, if you see here, cooling curves. So the next topic is cooling curve for a pure metal. So just now we have discussed a pure metal, and if you cool, so in the extraction of metals, so you are going to get that metal in the liquid form, and you have to solidify it. So when you are going for the solidification, that means you are going for the cooling operation. What will happen? How the process will be? Those things we are going to discuss here. Under equilibrium conditions, all metal exhibit a definite melting or freezing point. Okay, so these equilibrium conditions, that means you should have equilibrium conditions. That means if something is changing, it will not exhibit a definite melting or a freezing point. So we have to consider equilibrium conditions. Under equilibrium conditions, what will happen? So this is very, very important. You have to understand it carefully. Under the equilibrium conditions, so that means we have to consider equilibrium conditions. In equilibrium conditions, what will happen? All metals will exhibit a definite melting zone or a freezing zone. That means you are having definite melting point or a freezing point. Okay, so if it is a solid, so from solid to converting into liquid, so you are having a melting point. And if you are having a liquid and it is becoming a solid, you are having a definite freezing point. It means at a particular point it will freeze. So you are having a definite value for that one under equilibrium conditions. If the conditions are not in equilibrium, so it may change, right? So we are considering under equilibrium conditions. If you see here, if you draw a curve, cooling curve. So if a cooling curve is plotted for a pure metal, it will show a horizontal line at the melting or the freezing temperature. If you see here, this is important. So we are having a horizontal line in a cooling curve that is drawn for a pure metal. Okay, so at the melting point or the freezing temperature, at the melting temperature or the freezing temperature, that means throughout it is constant, then only you are getting a horizontal line. Okay, so here we are discussing the cooling curves for a pure metal. So we are considering the equilibrium conditions. Under equilibrium conditions, what will happen? All the metal will exhibit a definite melting or a freezing point. And if you draw a cooling curve for a pure metal, it will show a horizontal line at the melting point as well as the freezing point. That means from starting, if you take a solid, it will become liquid. That means melting point will be there. If you are taking a liquid and it is becoming a solid, then you are having a freezing point. So we will discuss with the diagram. See here, if you go for the diagram, see this one. So what you are having, cooling curve for a pure metal. So this is very, very important in the examination. Draw a cooling curve for a pure metal. So you have to understand it carefully. Okay, it is not an artistic diagram. You have to understand the concept, then only you can draw this easily. I will show you. See here. If you see here, I am taking liquid state. So if you see this diagram, I am taking time on x-axis and temperature on y-axis. Time on x-axis and temperature on y-axis. Initially, I am taking the liquid metal. I am taking at A. I am taking the liquid metal. I am at A. I am taking the liquid metal. So when I am cooling, that the temperature is dropping down with respect to time. If you see, so initially it is started here and it is moving downwards. So the time is increasing. And at B, what is happening? At B, what is happening? Liquid and solid phase will be there. That means at point B, at this point B, what is happening? This solidification will start. Okay, at this point, solidification will be start. That means phase change is occurring. So initially you are having liquid phase and you are converting that one into solid phase. That means phase change is occurring. Okay, so from B to C, if you see this one, C, this is C. So B to C, if you see the line, it is a horizontal line. That means the temperature is constant. The temperature is constant. So when the phase change is occurring, the temperature is constant. Okay, so this one, so here the freezing point, freezing is started and the freezing is ended, and from here onwards you are having solid state. Here you are initially you are having liquid state, and when the freezing starts, it is becoming liquid and solid. That means some portion may be liquid and some portion may be solid. That means solidification process started, and at C, what is happening? The solidification process ended. So there is no liquid now, only you are having solid. So in this way, the liquid is converted into solid. The liquid is converted into solid. And if you see, when the phase change occurs, what is happening? The temperature is constant. Okay, here I am converting liquid to solid. But if I take in reverse direction, solid to liquid, then also from C to B, here it is a constant line. That means this is the melting point. From this one, the liquid solid state will be converted into liquid. So you are having both liquid and solid, and later it will be completely become into liquid. So here, if you see here, you are having a definite value for this freezing point as well as melting point for a pure metal. So we will see here, see this one. This is very, very important. So for a drawing in the examination, this is a line diagram. If you see here, so it is started here, and you are having liquid phase up to here, and here the solidification process started, and here the solidification process ended. And in this one, what is happening? Phase change is occurring. So if you see this one, this is a straight line. So the temperature is constant, and later the temperature will be dropped, and at the end you will be having at room temperature. Okay, so this is with slow cooling. Okay, I'm using with slow cooling. Already we have discussed with slow cooling and super cooling. So here we are using slow cooling. When it is go for the slow cooling, so you are having up to here the liquid, and later it will be converted. That means the solidification process will start, and the solidification process will end, and it will become a solid. Okay, this is a slow cooling process in a cooling curve. And if you go for the next one, slow cooling, already we have discussed. So same, you are having here, you are having, if you see, So you are having liquid state and the solidification started here and the solidification ended here. Okay, so here you are having liquid and solid state and this is purely solid state. Okay, and here you may get room temperature. Okay, so in this way, if you observe this one, this is constant through the when the phase change occurs, the temperature is constant. Okay, so we are going to discuss this one again. Okay, see this one. See this one. These are the three steps we are having. So when you observe the diagram, these three steps we can observe here. If you see, metal from liquid state to solid state transformation can be explained in three steps. Okay, that is A to B, B to C, and C to D. Okay, A to B is one step, and B to C is the second step, and C to D is the third step. If you see here, removal of superheat from liquid state, that is A to B. So you are having a high temperature, that high temperature is removed from A to B. That means superheat from the liquid is removed. And next, if you see, removal of latent heat at isothermal condition. Isothermal means the temperature is constant. And if you see the curve, B to C, it is constant line. That means it is a straight line. You are having a straight line. That means the temperature is, if you see here, this is a constant line. So what it means, the temperature is constant at B and C throughout this line B to C. So removal of heat at isothermal condition B to C. Here only the phase transformation will occur. So we have to remember one thing, while the phase changes, the temperature is constant. When the phase changes from liquid to solid or solid to liquid, the temperature is constant. You have to remember this one. It is very, very important in the competitive examination. And removal of sensible heat from the solid from C to D. If you see from C to D, so the temperature is decreasing. So from C to D, the temperature is decreasing. That is removal of sensible heat from C to D at after D. That means when you cooling, when you go on cooling, what it will happen? It will become to room temperature, right? At D, obviously you will have room temperature. Okay, so these are the three steps we have to understand in the cooling curves of a pure metal. Okay, that is from A to B and B to C and C to D. If you observe A to B, the temperature is decreasing, but B to C, the temperature is constant. Here the phase change is occurring, and C to D and temperature is decreasing. Here sensible heat is removed, and here superheat is removed. Here you are removing the latent heat by isothermal condition. That means the temperature is constant. Already have studied this, what is meant by latent heat and what is meant by superheat and what is meant by sensible heat in your thermal engineering. See this one. So now we will discuss the same cooling curve of a pure metal with supercooling. So what will happen when we will go for a supercooling? If you see here, when we go for a supercooling, if you see here, so what will happen when we will go for a supercooling? In supercooling, what will happen? When the pure metals are cooled rapidly, supercooling is nothing but rapid cooling. So when you go for the rapid cooling, formation of solid crystals at the freezing point is sometimes inhibited and the solidification process is delayed. If you see here, the solidification process started here. Actually, it should be started here, right? So because of this supercooling, what is happening? B is shifted downwards and the solidification process is delayed. So that is the difference between the cooling curve for a pure metal when it is go for the slow cooling and when it is go for a supercooling or rapid cooling. Okay, so when you are go for the rapid cooling A to B, so from A to B you are having, this is what we call the freezing point is sometimes inhibited. The freezing point is, see here, actually the freezing point should be here, but here the freezing point. And because of this, what is happening? The starting of solidification is delayed. Actually, it should be started here, but it is started here. Okay, so here this is called supercooling. Here you are having supercooling, and this is the start of solidification. Here the start of solidification will be start, but it is below this one. Because of that one, the temperature is low here, and here the temperature is high. and because of this one, you are getting this one because of the supercooling, and this is the end of solidification. And here you are getting the solid at room temperature. So you are taking time here and you are taking temperature here. So what is the difference here? Only this is the difference here. If you observe this one, this is the difference we are observing here. Okay, actually you are having a straight line here, but here you are having, it is moving down, the temperature is down, and later it is getting to the normal temperature of solidification, and from here the solidification is started. Here the solidification is started, but actually it should be started here only. It is moving down here. That means it should be started here only. Because of this one, the supercooling, it is delayed, your solidification process is delayed, and this is your solidification line, and this B to C is the solidification line. If you see, the B to C is not straight here, whereas in your slow cooling it is straight, only somewhat it is delayed here. Okay, so that is the difference between a cooling curve of a pure metal for slow cooling and rapid or super cooling. Okay, this is very, very important in the examination. They will ask, draw a neat sketch, draw a cooling curve for a pure metal when it is slow cooling and when it is a super cooling. So you have to understand these two graph, that means cooling curves, clearly, and you have to know the difference when it is cooled slowly and when it is cooled rapidly. And next we will go for solid solution. Okay, so we have discussed the pure metal, later we will go for the solid solution. So what is a solid solution? See, we know that solution, we all know that what is meant by a solution. But what is meant by a solid solution? Here, the name itself indicates a solid solution. That means you are having a solution, but it is in the form, in the state of solid. So you are having a solution, it is in the solid state, and what will happen in this one, two kind of atoms combined in one type of species lattice. That means you are having two types of atoms, and one type of atoms will soluble in one type of atoms. For example, if you consider A and B, okay, B atoms are soluble in A, then and they are in the solid state, then we can say that it is a solid solution. Okay, you are having two types of atoms, A and B. Okay, the B atoms are soluble in A, and you are having a solid solution. That means the state of the solution is in solid, so you are having a solid solution. So here you are having a solute and a solvent. Okay, so you are having a solvent and you are having a solute. If you see here, a solution is composed of two parts, a solute and a solvent. So you are having a solvent as usual, you are having a solute. If you see here, the solute is the minor part. Minor part means, so the solute which can be, it can be what we can call, it can soluble in a solvent. So solvent is the bigger amount. In that one, this solute is the minor part. That means it is soluble. So the solute is soluble in a solvent. The solute is soluble in a solvent. So solvent is a bigger one. In that one, this solute is the minor one. For example, if you consider, for example, I will tell you for understanding purpose, if you take a liquid solution, we are discussing solid solution. I will give an example for a liquid solution. For example, if you take water and sugar solution, so you are having a bottle of water. In that one, you are dropping a spoon of sugar. So what is your you are having a sugar solution. In that one, what is the solute and what is the solvent? So your solvent is water and your solute is sugar. So if you see here, the solute is minor part and the solvent is major part, right? So here you are having two atoms, and one atoms behave as solute and one atoms behave as solvent. That means the solute atoms will soluble in the solvent atoms and they will become as one type in the spatial lattice. That means if you observe under the microscope, they will look as one. Okay, this is regarding solid solution. See this one. See, solid solution of the solution start the temperature may be higher or lower than the freezing point. So if you go for the cooling curves, so already we have discussed the cooling curves for a pure metal. If you discuss the cooling curves for a solid solution, how it will be? If you see here, see, solidification of the solution starts at a temperature may be higher or lower than the freezing point of the pure or the pure solvent. That means here you are having a definite range. You are not having definite point. You are having a definite range. That means it may be lower or higher than the freezing point of the pure solvent. So you are having two atoms A and B. So you are having that here in our example, A is our solvent. So A is having some freezing point. So about that, if you consider that freezing point, above or below that freezing point, you are having the solidification temperature. That means the solidification starts above or below the freezing point of the pure solvent. Okay. And most of the solid solutions solidify over a range in temperature. This one is important. If you consider pure metals, it is having a definite point. At a definite point it is having, but here you are having a range of temperature. That means from here to here, that means you are having a range. You are not having a particular point. So this much temperature, you are not having that exact definite point. Here you are having from here to here, you are having a range. I will show you how it will be. See here, how the, if you observe this one, if you draw this one for a pure diagram, pure metal, if you draw a cooling curve for a pure metal, what is happening here? You are having a straight line here. But if you observe this one, you are having a range, a temperature range is here, a temperature range is there. If you see here, this is your liquid phase. Okay, see, this is your liquid phase. If you observe this one, this is your liquid phase. Okay, and here the solidification, that means phase change start temperature. Here the phase change is starting, but it is not constant. If you see here, the phase change finish temperature is here, and if you observe this one, this length, that means this is your temperature, right? This is your temperature line. So from here to here, that means at this point you are having some temperature, and at this point you are having some temperature. So from here to here, you are having a range. For example, here some degrees is there, and from here some degrees is there. That means this much degrees to this much degrees. That is, you are having a range. Whereas in your pure metal, you are having a definite point from this many degrees of temperature. That's it. There is no range. Here you are having range from here to here. Okay, so that is the difference between cooling curve for a pure metal and a solid solution. See this one. So this is the diagram given for different composition: 100, 0, 80, 20, and 60, 40, 40, 60, like that. So the composition is changing, A composition and B composition. And if you see the cooling curves, so you are having different cooling curves are obtained here. Okay, so this is the solid cooling curve for a solid solution with a different composition. See, this is also. So for a different composition, how the cooling curve changes. So a solid solution, if you see, a solid solution occurs when we take alloy consisting of two metals and they are completely soluble in each other. Okay, they should be soluble in each other, then only you will get a solution, right? If it is not soluble, you are not going to get any solution. Okay, so the first condition is they should be soluble in each other, then only you will get a solution. If a solid solution alloy is viewed under microscope, how it will be? It will look like a single crystal, one type of crystal, and it's like pure metal. So whatever the pure metal you will see, it will be look like same under microscope. Okay, so first one is they should be completely soluble in each other. This is first condition. And when they are viewed under a microscope, they will look like one type of crystal, like a pure metal, and solid solution alloys are similar properties, pure metals. So if you go for the properties, you are having similar properties like your pure metals, but with greater strength. The strength will be more compared to your pure metals when you go for the alloys. Okay, so these are the things related to our solid solution. First one is they should be soluble in each other, then only you are going to get a solution. And when you observe those things under a microscope, and it will be look like a single type of crystal, and whatever the pure metal you will see. And if you go for the properties of the properties of these solid solutions, they are similar to the properties of pure metals, but with a greater strength. Okay, these things you should remember. Okay, so with greater strength, it will be having with similar properties. And coming to next slide. See, the solute may incorporate into the solvent crystal lattice substitute. See here, now we are having two types of solid solutions. Okay, so this is also very, very important. This is very, very important. See here, you may have substitutional solid solutions or you may have interstitial solid solutions. Okay, so how many types of solid solutions you may have? Substitutional solid solutions and interstitial solid solutions. What is meant by substitutional solid? Substitution, that means they are substituted. They are substituted. That means whatever the solute atoms you are having, so the solute atoms are replaced with your solvent atoms. If you see here, the solute may incorporate into the solvent crystal lattice substitutionally by replacing the solvent particles. So whatever the solvent particle you are having, so that solvent particle is replaced by your solute particles. Okay, and if you go for the interstitial solid solution, what will happen in the interstitial solid solution? These fit into the spaces between the solvent particles. You are having solvent particles. In that solvent particles, whatever the space is available, in that space, these solute particles will be accommodated. Then only we can call it as interstitial solid solution. Interstitials means the empty space you are obtaining. The empty space is available in the solvent particles, that is known as interstitial solid solutions. So both this type of solid solutions affect the properties of the material by distorting the crystal lattice. So what will happen to the crystal lattice when some solute atoms, that means solute atoms are substitutionally they are incorporated, or they are interstitially they are incorporated? What will happen to the crystal lattice? It can be distorted. When the crystal lattice is distorted, what will happen? The properties will be affected. Okay, so these things we should remember. So we are having substitutional solid solutions and interstitial solid solutions. And here you have to remember one more thing. So because of this one, so because of this interstitial or substitutional solid solution, there will be a distortion in the crystal lattice. Because of the distortion in the crystal lattice, what will happen? The properties will be changed. And if you go for the next one, I will show you. See here. So what is meant by a substitutional solid solution? Very, very important question in the examination. Explain solid, what is a solid solution? Explain types of solid solution with neat diagrams they will ask. Okay, see here, substitutional solid solution. So first go through these things, then I will explain. As the atoms of the parent metal or solvent metal are replaced or substituted by atoms of the alloying elements or the solute. Solute means minor part and your solvent is major part. So you are having, if you see the white and the blue, okay, so the white atoms are your solvent metal atoms and these blue are your alloying metal atoms. Alloying metal atoms. What is happening? So actually here you are having a solvent metal atom. It is replaced with your alloy metal atom. If you see here, it is replaced here. Here it is replaced, and here also it is replaced, and here also it is replaced. That means what we are doing here, we are replacing the solvent atoms with solute atoms. Okay, so substitution is taking place. So that's why it's called as substitutional solid solutions. So in this case, the two atoms the two atoms of the two metals in the alloy are of almost same size. The size is say, if you observe this blue and white, they are in equal in size. They are equal in size, right? So this is substitutional solid solutions. And if you go further, interstitial solid solution, what will happen in the interstitial solid solution? In the interstitial solid solution, if you see here, the atoms in the interstitial solid solutions, the atoms of the parent or the solvent metal are bigger. If you see this blue and this pink one, this blue and pink one, if you see the blue and pink, what you are having, if you blue are bigger and the pink are smaller. So what they are doing, these are the solvent metal atoms and these are the alloy metal atoms. Okay, so what they are doing, these alloy metal atoms, they are incorporated in the spaces, empty spaces among the atoms of the your solvent metal. So here you are having empty space, here you are having empty space. In that empty space, these solute atoms are incorporated. That means interstitial. What is meant by interstitial? If you see here, so the atoms of the allying elements, interstices, that means that is nothing but the spaces. So whatever the space that is available between the your solvent metal atoms, in that spaces these solute atoms are incorporated. So these type of solid solutions are known as interstitial solid solutions. If you see the phase diagrams, here you are having different phase diagrams. So this is a liquid, and here you are having liquid and solid and your solid solution. Okay, so this is 100% alpha and this is 100% beta. See here, nickel copper system already we have discussed in the previous session. So how the solution will be, that means how the alloy will be. See this one, here you are having liquid alpha, liquid and alpha, here liquid and beta, alpha plus beta and your beta. Okay, so these things we are going to learn in the iron carbon equilibrium diagram when we discuss the iron carbon equilibrium diagram. Okay, see here, construction of equilibrium diagram. Just see this one, how the equilibrium will be. This is the equilibrium diagram. So this is, you are having here, you are having liquid. I will show you. See, this one. So percentage and everything, liquid plus solid and solid you are going to get. And next is chemical compound. So what is meant by chemical compound? Okay, so this is also one type of substance. So chemical compound is a substance consisting of two or more different elements and chemically bonded together. So they are bonded together, that means they are, how you are going to get that compound? Because of the chemical properties. Okay, because of the chemical reactions, they are bonded together. If you are having such thing, then we can call it as a chemical compound. And how they are bonded together, and what are the controlling, what is the controlling point here you are having, that is fixed proportion by mass. So how much percentage of mass from A and how much percentage of mass from B. Okay, in this way they are chemically bonded together, and such substance is known as chemical compound. Okay, very important question in the examination. They will ask, write short notes on chemical compound. What is a chemical compound? So a chemical compound is a substance consisting of two or more different elements and how they are joined together. That means how they are bonded together. They are bonded together chemically. Okay, so then, and on what basis? Based on the proportionate of mass. That means how much percentage of mass from A and how much percentage of mass from B. Okay, so in this way we are going to have a chemical compound and they are chemically bonded together. Chemically combined carbon with iron. So the examples will be chemically combined carbon. So carbon is chemically bonding with iron, then you are going to produce cementite and white cast iron. Okay, you are unaware of this cementite. So we are going to discuss what is meant by cementite, perlite, all these things we will discuss in the coming sessions. Okay, just remember here, just so what is the example for this one? That is cementite and white cast iron. How you are going to get when this carbon chemically reacts, when chemically bonded with your iron, you are going to get cementite and white cast iron. That means carbon is chemically bonded with iron, then you are getting cementite and white cast iron. So that's why it is called as a chemical compound. See this one, this is a how the structure will be for a chemical compound. And mechanical mixture. So they are not soluble each other and they are not chemically reacted. So they are together. So then we can call it as a mixture. Okay. So if you see here, two mutually insoluble, they are not soluble to each other. Insoluble metal components in solid state will form a mechanical mixture. So you are having two insoluble metal components and they are not chemically bonded and they are not soluble, then you are having a mechanical mixture. So during solidification, these components are separated from the melt and from closed mechanical structure. So we can identify, that means it is will not be have a single one. Okay, so you are having A and B. So you are having A and B. So you are able to separate it from the melt. Okay, so and they are forming a closed mechanical mixture. Okay, so that is the difference between your solid solution and a mechanical mixture. In solid solution, they are soluble to each other, but here insoluble to each other, and they are not chemically reacted. Okay, like your chemical compound, here they can be separated from the melt during the solidification process, and they are formed close together with the mechanical mixture. Okay, and if you go for the examples in iron carbon equilibrium system, perlite and lead-barite. Okay, so these things we are going to discuss. What is meant by perlite and what is meant by lead-barite? Okay, so these are the examples for a mechanical mixture. Your perlite and lead-barite are the examples for a mechanical mixture. That means they are not soluble. Okay, if you take perlite, you are having some constituents, and if you take lead-barite, you are having some constituents, and they are not soluble to each other. They are not chemically bonded together. They are having, you are having two metal components, and they are in the metal they are separate only. They are not soluble and they are not chemically bonded, and they can be separated while solidification from the melt, and they form a closed mechanical mixture. Okay, so this one regarding mechanical mixtures. So whatever the things we have discussed till now, we will see again. So in this session, what we have discussed, see, these are the things we have discussed. So we have discussed in a cooling curve for pure metal, we can see the phase change occur at a constant temperature. So you are having a definite point, at that point only the solidification occurs, that in a cooling curve for a pure metal. So it is for a pure metal. So for a pure metal, you have to remember constant temperature. And if you go for cooling curve for a solid solution, what you are having? You are a range of temperature. Here you are having a definite temperature, that is constant temperature, and for a solid solution you are having a range of temperature. That means from T1 to T2, like that. That means you are having a range of temperature. Whereas in your pure metal, you are having a constant temperature. That means T. So you are not having a range. And substitutional and interstitial solid solution. We have discussed types of solid solution as substitutional solid solution and interstitial solid solutions. These are the two types of solid solutions are there. And later we have discussed what is meant by a chemical compound and the examples. So chemical compound, that means two or more alloying elements, metal elements, they are bonded together by chemically, then we can call it as a chemical compound. And when we go for the two mutually insoluble metals, they will form a mechanical mixture. They are not soluble and they are not chemically bonded, so they will form a mechanical mixture. So these are the things we have discussed in this session. So you are they are insoluble. You should understand this one. Here it is insoluble. Okay. So these are the things we have discussed in this session. And if you see the quiz questions, See, what is the answer for this one? Solid solution is a two atoms in one type of space lattice or two atoms in two types of space lattice or none of the above or A and B. So two atoms in a solid solution, that means they are soluble in each other. So what will happen? They will behave a one. That means the two atoms in one type of space lattice, right? So what is the answer? First one, two atoms in one type of space lattice. That means they will soluble each other. That's why they will behave like a one. And for a solid, if you see this one, for a solid solution, phase change occurs. For a pure metal at a definite point. For a solid solution, it is a range of temperature. So what is the answer? B. So in a range of temperature. If you see the short questions, very, very important. So define pure metal and alloy. So what do you understand by pure metal and what do you understand by alloy? So in the initial slides, we have discussed definition for a pure metal and alloy. What is meant by solid solution? So what is meant by solid solution? And chemical compound and mechanical mixture. All the four questions are very, very important. You can take star mark for all the four questions because they are very, very important in the examination. Okay, define solid solution, define chemical compound, define mechanical mixture, and what is meant by pure metal and alloy, what is the difference. So you are able to explain these things clearly. And if you go for the long questions, if you see here, differentiate pure metal and solid solution with the help of a cooling curve. So how the cooling curve for a pure metal, how the cooling curve for a solid solution, and how what will happen. And so if you see for the pure metal, you are having a constant temperature, same temperature, but you are having for a solid solution, you are having a range of temperature. Those things you have to explain by drawing the cooling curves for pure metal and for the solid solution. And if you see this one, discuss in details the types of solid solution and conditions of formation. So when it will be formed and what are the conditions and what are the different types of solid solutions we are having. So that is substitutional solid solutions and interstitial solid solutions, when they will be formed and when they will be formed and what is the conditions for this one and what is the conditions for this one, you have to discuss. And one more thing we can have here, draw a cooling curve for pure metal when it is go for the slow cooling and the rapid cooling, and what is the difference. Those things also they may be asked in the examination. Okay, so with this one I am closing today's session.